All right. What do you think, Sam? You want to get started?
Yeah, for sure. So first item on our market update for September is our total number of active listings. Currently, for September of 2020, we have 5,154 active listings on the market. And again, this is in our entire MLS area. So we're pulling some of Newton, Granger, Adele, some of those smaller bedroom communities. Our average days to sell has actually decreased. Last month, we were averaging about 50 days to sell. We're down to 47. So, even considering all of the refinances that are going on, our third party folks are really able to jam everything out and get us closed in 47 days.
That's impressive.
So our number of new listings for September 2020, we have taken 1,667 new listings this month. Just a slight baby decrease from last month. We had 1,680 last month. So that tells us we're still in a super strong seller's market. Our total number of sales for September were 1,467. Again, a slight decrease from last month, about 200 number of sales decrease. However, we're up about 250 from this time last year. So although we're in a pandemic, we're still moving strongly. And lastly, our average sales price is a slight decrease from last month. We're at $252,028. However, comparing that to last year we were at $234,811. So still a pretty significant increase in equity sales.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I got for your guys' market update.
Perfect. Thank you. So today, Mitch is not here. He's out of town having some fun. So Bob is going to step in and lead the meeting.
So you know what they say, when the fun and business partners away, it's time to play.
That's right. We should be fishing.
Exactly. So if we skate out of here, we're going to get somewhere else to go.
Right. We got plans. So today we're going to do horror stories from all of Bob's past jobs that he's ever seen, whether it's scary stuff that he's found or scary stuff that people have done to houses that he's seen. So we're going to start with that. I think the first example that we have is something that happened right here in Des Moines, pretty close to us, 10th Street.
10th Street. Old 10th Street. Right, Sam?
Hey, I'm just the seller.
So 10th Street, a little background on that. We decided to go ahead and finance the project or sell it on contract, I guess. I mean, you guys are up on the terms. Let someone else do it and bring in their own contractor. I think Mitch got a call one day and said, hey, we don't want the house anymore. Something along the lines, Sam, you were kind of in on that, at least the initial phone calls. And,
yes.
And then we went over there and, well, we know why he didn't want it anymore. He had hired a contractor, quote unquote. And in my experience, we knew we were in trouble. When you walk up on a construction site and you see a brand new generator box, a brand new tool, boxes for air hammer or air guns and everything else. It basically means, I'm a contractor. I'm not swinging brand new tools just to do your job. It just means normally there's someone that's not been a contractor very long or just starting out. So, or restarting, in this case, I guess was the scenario. Long and short of it is, we walked in there and the city was told that we were going to structurally condemn this house because someone went in and cut up all the barrier walls over the floor. And, yeah, actually compromised their building pretty good.
What was your call?
We showed up that following day with a bunch of braces, re-braced the house, put in a header up under one of the barrier walls they cut out was under a dormer. So we put up a header up under there to try to hold the dormer up. Basically, right now the house is sitting still with braces on it, trying to make sure that it doesn't fall in until we can actually get there and rebuild it.
So I think there's one part that may not have been shared. So that original call, when they called me, they had asked me if we could do an exchange. They wanted us to give them another house that was right around the corner.
I got you. Yeah, no. And I know you guys re-met with them the next day, and then they were questioning, I believe, why there were so many braces and everything else in the house, which right there tells you it probably shouldn't do another project because apparently they were out of their league. We knew we were in trouble besides everything missing when literally the one 2x4 that was standing left was, there was a sawzall blade stuck in it so tight because it couldn't stop. They just had to take the sawzall.
Pressure on it, that's for sure. Well, that's a good one. So the second one I think we have is Lincoln. You bought a house with a bunch of shell casings in it, right?
Yeah, this is when we first got here. I think probably right after we did 24th. Just getting new to the neighborhood, we were buying whatever we could. And we got a call. I believe it was city owned. I don't know the history behind it, but I think Mitch said the city used to run all these projects. And I don't know, somehow or another it got lost in the shuffle. And so we go look at it, and there is bullet casings just everywhere throughout the whole house. I mean, it looks like someone just went crazy shooting off guns in the house. So before we went any farther with that, I know Mitch had to check into it, and apparently the Des Moines Police Department was using it for a practice house, which made us feel a lot better that it wasn't, gang related or just something horribly went wrong in that house.
Right. Well, that's good news there. How about, what do we got? Hobo Haven or Hobo Heaven? Whichever, your choice.
Yeah, that was actually, it's 24th Street, Sam. Is what used to be Hobo Haven. The story behind that is Jess and Mitch were out here. I think Jess, right, we did your house because you guys were going to school here, and so we got their house done. I went back to Indiana to mind my own business, and Mitch calls me up and sends me this horrific video of just there's mattress. I mean, we'll get back into that, but it was. I'm like, what is this place? He goes, oh, Dad, we just bought this place. And I'm like, excuse me, what do you mean we just bought this place? Well, for all you guys that don't know what 24th Street is, it was the old Abbey Nursing Home, I guess it was. Well, we bought it days before the city was going to tear it down and condemn it. And you could literally go in the front door where everyone else apparently was going in. And walk in this place. And apparently when they shut it down, they took the patients out of here and left everything else behind. I mean, medicines, beds, office files, just basically it's like a ghost town. That was the creepy part about it. Someone just took the bodies out of there and everything else was left behind. You know what happens when everything else is left behind? Let's just say it was urban mined and it was a good place for everyone else to live at. So they would take all the mattresses and make their own rooms, and we'd be walking around there screaming, realtors or whatever we see was screaming. You can literally, it's like the Pentagon, it does a big square. So as we're walking around, you can hear everyone else shifting to stay steps ahead of us, but not run into us on the other end. So, I mean, there was needles and pills and they were still using the bathrooms that didn't work over there. So, I mean, at least they did it in a couple of the apartments instead of all over. So, Sam, when you, like the one that you walked into over there, and I asked if they were Neanderthals, trust me, it gets much worse than that little bit in the bathtub there.
No. That's a good one.
I mean, you saw what they did over there on the ones that had to be removed on the last big cleanout we did over there.
Yes, and you know what? If I never have to smell that smell again in my life, I will be winning at life at the end of the day, because I've never encountered anything like that before.
I tell you, you get used to it, but you do.
Yeah.
Now you do.
Yeah.
You don't have to smell it again. So
Right.
no guarantees there.
Sam, so you made a comment earlier today, I think before we got on that we cleaned up well. Here's a little known fact that most people don't know about me. Anytime you see my hair getting long, not that it can get long in a lot of spots, that's usually the way I gauge my projects.
Okay.
So when you see me when my hair gets longer, it means I'm in the middle of a project and we haven't hit that milestone. That's just my self-awareness of how long we've been on the project.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna start paying attention to that now.
So like today, I mean, I cut it. It was a little early, but you know, we're back on the other one and we're trimming out, so we're done with all the other stuff. But yes, on bigger projects, you'll see my hair getting longer and longer until we actually hit a milestone, and then I'll shave it.
Okay.
It's just one of the freaky things. I don't know if it's because I don't have enough time or that's just one of the ways to keep me pushing because I don't like when my hair is long. And when I say long, we're talking an inch or 3/4 of an inch. It's not like I got Goldilocks and they're curling behind us.
So how long product do we have to do to get you a ponytail?
I might be able to get a ponytail, but you're not going to get a mullet. I'm just telling you right now, that's not going to happen.
Perfect. Well, the next one up, I thought, was one of my favorite stories that we talked about the other day. This takes you back to Indiana, right?
Okay, yeah.
So my notes on the board are Canine Solution, 1989, police.
So a little background there. I took care of 100 homes in a little place called Fort Heights, Illinois. In 89, it was the lowest per capita in the United States. So it was a good one. They used to actually, their endearment terms for us were the marshmallows and the hot chocolate.
Oh God.
So that's what they used to call us. So I took care of 100 homes out of there for 18 years. I think it was 89. 89 is when we finished up 2000, but they got a big grant over there to rehab all of them. So it was a good project. It was a good time, but you ran into many, as they call them, not so nice places. I mean, you think you've got some here, Sam. The canine police one is, when someone moved out, we had guard dogs that we put in them because it was a pretty rough neighborhood. So we would actually put attack dogs in the houses at night when we left. It's better than any security system that you can have. I mean, quite honestly. And to set the stage, the police back in 89, where I think we're making $8.50 an hour at this particular place. So you weren't getting the cream of the crop. So someone got evicted, we moved their stuff out, did all the stuff through the sheriff. And as they did that, we board up the boards, board up all the windows and doors, leave one access for the canine unit to come in. So I had to run to Menards or something that night, and it was actually by Kenny, Lynch Canine, that used to have this operation. And I was coming back from Menards, and I see Kenny go flying by me. And there's not a lot of areas over there, so I'm like, I know where he's going. So I hit the gas and go over there. And by the time I catch up to him and all that, he had a black Belgian Shepherd, and he had a gentleman pinned up against the house that was apparently starting problems. So he had the guy pinned up with his dog and called the local police. So the police come out and they're like, hey, what's going on? We explained it to them. there was a president that used to control stuff out there. Zeke was his name, and so they explained everything. It was like, hey, he's been evicted. Here's the paperwork, and so Kenny pulled the dog off because he wasn't hearing it start. He just started getting mouthy and everything else. The cops looked right at us. There was 2 of them in the car, so let the dogs eat them, and literally drove away. So, I mean, not a good topic right now, but it was just the sign of the time. Nothing happened. The president actually talked to him. It was all resolved. But that was out there for our protection as much as anyone else's, the dogs themselves.
Pretty interesting put some dogs in our houses nowadays.
Yeah, the bad part with the dogs versus the alarm is most of his dogs were not housebroken. So it was they were supposed to clean up, but they got a little smelly in the morning some mornings.
That last phone call we had before we stepped into the meeting today, I think someone's breaking into your house.
Yeah.
4 minutes before we go on with you guys. That'd make it a little easier, but
Right.
We'll cross that bridge later. So the next one up is, yeah, Ford Heights, rats and cats.
Same problem or same situation, and let's just say some of the folks over there, just like anywhere, were not the cleanliness. They weren't the cleanest of people. So we were doing a house that people had lived in for a long time, and we refused to work in there because they were pretty nasty. So it finally got them out. We moved out. It started out, we had a backup sewer, so we same thing. Back then, I did everything myself. So we dug the sewer lines up. And as we're digging, it was me and my brother. We're like, oh man, it was getting dusk out or whatever, and you could hear rustling in the leaves. It was like all the squirrels were getting closer. No, they weren't squirrels. They were rats the size of squirrels because they didn't have fuzzy tails. So we poke in the house, and I mean, we're talking rats. Poke in the house and we see them, so we're like, all right, we'll go ahead. We had a guy that had some tomcats around. He goes, my tomcats will kill all the rats in the house. No, not so much. We opened the door the next day and the cats went flying out of the house. So they were either overwhelmed or whatever. So then we started, we set traps and poisoned them once we got the cats out. So we had thought. The heat went out that night. We had big glue, besides the snap traps, we had big glue rat traps. And in the morning when you wake up and you see paw prints about an inch and a half on your glue traps because the heat went out and it was cold enough they didn't stick to it. And we had to get in the crawl space and fix all the pipes. So I was telling my brother Mike, I'm like, no, this is what we're going to do. So we started cutting holes. We turned the water on, find a leak, cut a hole in the floor. I reached through and fixed it. I'm not getting in the crawl space. I've been in a lot with a lot of nasty things. So that was going on. I thought we were doing good there. I let my brother for the first time solder up. One of the faucets was all leaking, so we had to solder up a new faucet. As he started soldering it up, I hear this hellacious scream. And I mean, it sounded like a 12-year-old girl screaming. I'm not gonna lie. That was my brother. He was soldering, and a cat from the crawl space. It was a cat. Came out, jumped on his chest, and then ran out of the house. But you could have heard, if you could have just said, how the girls have a high-pitched scream or whatever. That's what it sounded like. And this is a grown male. But I mean, that was, so I still laugh about that one to this day.
Oh, amazing.
And the worst one that we had over there, I don't know if it got moved or whatever. I actually had to shower with a man out there before that.
Wait.
Okay.
What?
So, it was Saturday, same thing. I'm on 24-hour call. I mean, I was out there Christmas Eve, many nights putting in hot water heaters. Thanksgiving, I was putting in a furnace while they were sitting down to eat Thanksgiving dinner. I was the maintenance guy, 24/7. Whenever they called, Bob went. So we're over there, and Zeke had called and said, hey, we had to move out. Let's board it up and go see the thing, and then we'll get lists to put in the dogs. And it was locked and whatever, so I wound up Jimmy in the window, and that was when I was a little younger and more agile. Climbed in through the window, and I never wear shorts. I mean, you've probably seen me wear shorts 4 or 5 times. Walk in the door, walk over, unlock the door. Zeke walks in. I looked down, my legs from my knees down were literally covered in sleep. I mean, to the point my legs were open. So I stripped off, just laid my underwear on, and Zeke just lives a half a block away. And it was Sunnyfield 1 and Sunnyfield 2 over there. So he's all freaked out because he didn't like bugs anyhow. So he's showering, and I'm in his house, and we literally, I think we rubbed butts as we're passing, getting in. I didn't care at that point. I'd have showered naked with cold water in the middle of the street had I had.
Well, thank goodness you didn't have to. I said that. Let's not do that. I don't like bugs.
Well, that's what I keep telling you guys. One of these days in the middle of winter or summertime when you guys are looking at houses, you will. We had one in Griffith that was the same way. Gene and it was one of my houses. The tenants moved out, but they had dogs and they were covered, and it was just nasty.
That is nasty.
I can deal with roaches because I can see them and kill them. The fleas are I worked, like I said, 18 years there in the wife will contest. I never brought a flea or a roach home to our house because we tape our pant legs up normally. Well, we knew they were in there. We'd tape our pant legs up, spray them down with roach spray, and do what we got to do. But
Okay.
No fleas.
So what I'm hearing you say is we need to have roach spray, bug spray, any sort of duct tape, so that when we go into these houses in the summer, we're covered, right, Jake?
You guys had actually missed one. Jen was involved in that one here, going over by the airport. Just you remember that address, the one over by the airport? We thought it was a cinder block house. All I know is we walked in there to clean it out, and it was the same thing. And the fleas were so bad in that house that we actually, Jen, they were in the yard. They were so thick. So even when we got out of the house, anytime we'd go back over there. So that's how Jen started carrying roach spray in the back of her car. Ask her about that one. She won't forget that one. We had to put on our Tyvek suits, tape our pant legs. It's not like even when you spray them, they die right away. But I went in there and sprayed.
Sam, what I hear is from Bob, you and I need to get a better kit for the car when we're traveling with some bug spray. For sure.
Yep.
Because just think about it. If you jump in your car, just like at Fort, I literally threw all my clothes away, brand new pair of gym shoes. I was done with them. But I had the exterminators go back in for. It was like I was throwing bug bombs through the windows, and just because I didn't want to go back in there trying to get them under control. To be honest with you.
So Sam and I have an appointment on Monday. I think we take Sam to the Jeep.
Yeah, there you go. Trying to get him out of the carpet of your car.
No.
Come on, Sam. You already know what a rock feels like on your new car. Why not some fleas?
There you go, Sam. Why don't you tell your story real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
So
Jose on?
this one's still really fresh, so it's still like right there. It was a Monday. It was actually my daughter's birthday, her 16th birthday, and Jake and I are checking out a house on the east side. Yeah, and we had Jose was with us. He was walking through. So we walk all the way through the house. We get in the car, and I'm like, "Hey, Jake, can you grab that hand sanitizer out of the door for us?" He turns around, grabs the hand sanitizer, and so much as looks at me, and it sounds like a bomb went off. And it happened to have been a guy on a giant lawnmower, threw a boulder of a rock through my brand new Jeep's window.
Both of them.
Yeah. Oh, and hit my windshield. It was a whole thing. It shattered my passenger side window. Thank God it didn't come through and hit Jake in the head, because I probably would have fallen out at that point. But
yeah, I'm 50-50 on that one.
Right? You don't want to mess this up. This is beautiful.
Yeah. So, and then also, with COVID, glass production is down, and I have a brand new Jeep, so nobody has replacement windows just laying around. So it took about 3 weeks to get it repaired and get my Jeep back.
Nice.
So that was a thing.
So the next one up is the Lowell Sabotage House. I believe you and Mitch were doing a clean out. He was back from college.
No, that was Jeff and Mitch, actually. You remember that house, Jeff? It was over in downtown Lowell, the one they were sticking the needles and the razor blades in. You tore out the beer. I don't remember the address. Maybe. It was a ranch house. We wound up tearing the whole middle wall out. That was the one that actually had the bat in it too, that kept freaking me out. Yeah, they were doing a clean out over there. And you know, some people lose. I mean, there was just a lot of clothes and everything. But they were leaving used syringes and razor blades. They had stuffed bags and all their clothes with. So when you went to grab them up, I mean, they were just trying to hurt people that came in there to do it. Mitch still remember that one. I'm surprised Jesse didn't, but you know, it was a long time ago. But yeah, people do some nasty things. Just, I mean, no. I truly feel sorry for people who lose their house, and that's why you guys try to actually help before it gets to that point or whatever. But I had bought it just like anyone else, you know, after it went through the sheriff's auction or whatever, and I would never hurt anyone, purposely try to hurt anyone, and that's exactly what they were doing. So
Everyone's not created the same, I guess, is what we can take away from that. So I missed part of this one the other day. You call it the Frankenstein whorehouse?
Jeff, you got to remember this one now.
There's a
Bell Shaw next to the railroad tracks. It literally, there was a house that sat probably 50 feet off the railroad tracks, and this one was no more than 100. So when the train came by, you could hear it. But this one was same thing. Whoever got out of there, they took feces, smeared it all over the walls. They, you know, was it applesauce? Because applesauce molds real well. But Mitchell always got a bad feeling. He didn't want me to buy that house. He'd always get a creeped out feeling from that one. You know, a spooky, uneasy feeling. I don't know, whatever it was. The neighbors were telling me there was guns buried in the wall. That was when we didn't do a stud up remodel. But when someone tells you there's an antique gun in the wall, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went out and bought a metal detector to, you know, I don't want to cut open the wall unless I can find something. But yeah, that one was one of them ones. I mean, we had a couple of them here that you just go in and you get this. We did one. We found on it yesterday. That it was me, Mitch, and the wife actually were walking around. What did you say, Newton or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just when we went upstairs, all of us got like really sick, like kind of like a gas leak or whatever. And I'm not real spiritual or anything like that, but we just got really sick and nauseous and started to get out and started to feel better. Well, Mitch did the research on it. The gentleman that lived there actually tortured and murdered his wife in the house. So, no.
Well, we had an interesting conversation Saturday at breakfast also. I think that the new gentleman we hired is kind of we decided he's going to be the spirit whisperer. If we think anything's going on in the house, he volunteered to go in and speak with them.
Because he can feel them, so I'm like, hey, you can have them.
Yeah, you keep them. I don't know about any of that stuff. That's not really my bag. I don't go down that road, but luckily we have Kramer.
Yeah.
So, next up is the 24th Street drive-through. Did you open a restaurant?
Yes. I think it was probably, I don't know, 3 months in after doing the one we were talking about, Hobo Heaven. We just had it all done. Mitch and I were on actually the south side somewhere looking at another house. And we get a call from actually the building department, the building inspector, Russ. He's like, hey, he goes, you guys got to get over here. Someone drove through your building. I'm like, drove through our building? It's not even close to the road or anything like that. I said, so what's going on? And well, we went flying over there. Long of the short is it tees off right in front of there's a concrete staircase that comes down, then a long sidewalk, then a set of double doors, and then you have the hallway, like I said, it does a big square. Well, apparently this guy said he was running from someone, is what the people said, but he jumped over the 12 stairs, landed on the sidewalk, drove through the French doors, and then into an apartment and knocked the hot water heater off. Thankfully, it was about 9 o'clock because the hallways at that time were still full of kids around 8:30. So no one was hurt, but I think they wound up sucking 22,000 gallons of water out of there because, of course, by the time we got across town, got downstairs, turned the main off, I mean, you have a 3/4 line. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the gentleman was so sorry about it, he put it in reverse and tried to drive out of there, so no license, no insurance, you know.
He's trying to make sure you had room to work when you got there.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, they're all interesting. Any of your properties can be interesting at any time.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen some stuff in the few months I've been around here that's, you never know what you're going to get, actually. That being said, we do have a few stories left, but does anybody else have a story that they'd like to jump in with and share? Something that happened to a house that you owned or a story that you've heard gone wrong? Nope.
Okay, I've heard one story that will stay with me for the rest of my life. This person had rented his house out, and there were so many roaches in this house that they were literally coming out of the soffits on the exterior of the home. And it took multiple iterations of pest treatments to get them out. His next thought was, if they don't leave, you know, his like final straw, if they don't vacate or die after this, he was just going to burn it down, literally.
And believe it or not, Sam, even if he did that, he'd just push some of them over to the neighbor's house.
Oh my God.
We've had houses that bad that the first thing they'll do is, the guy that's probably doing it will put up an exterior perimeter to try to keep them where they're at. They're highly, hell, they survived the nuclear holocaust, for Christ's sakes. So, I mean, they can, you go up from the apartments, the multiple apartments.
Yeah.
If you fumigate one or put stuff down and don't do the surrounding ones, they literally just move. I mean, that's why over there, when we had to spray for bugs, we sprayed all the surrounding units and the hallways that they were connected to.
They just pack up and move to the neighbor.
Yeah, I don't know if they pack up, they just move.
Same with the bed bugs.
Oh no.
Oh God.
I'm not. I've never had to be in a bed bug situation. I don't know about Sam or Bob, but I'm not trying to hear that either. Like, I don't.
I sold 2 bed bug houses. Previously, not Calusi related. Let me just give that disclaimer hugely. But when I walked in the house and there was all this powder on the ground around all of their furniture, and I'm like, golly, what is this? So then I get outside, and the investor I was walking through with, he said, you do realize that was bed bug powder, right? And I was like, wait, what? And he said, no, they put this powder around their furniture to try to keep the bed bugs from getting them.
Okay.
Bob and I were at we looked at a crazy, maybe a sixplex, was it? And we walk in, and of course, there's just mattresses on the floors. And we look at one, and one is stained all black. And I was just, I didn't know anything. I was brand spanking new. And I was like, oh, that's gross. And Bob goes, oh, know what that is? And I was like, I don't know, just stains. He goes, nope, that's just that many bed bugs. Where it looked like a permanent marker was all over. And then the same place, we started walking around the rest of the unit. And in the kitchen, we heard and I didn't know what that was. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I start walking towards the noise, and all of a sudden Bob just pulls me back because it was just a rabid raccoon just waiting, or a possum. I can't remember what it was, but Whoops.
Yeah, I saw Jen before you got there, the one over by the airport with all the fleas in it. I didn't
Oh,
remember
in the yard?
The yard or whatever over there.
Yeah, I had to take pictures at that property, and I just remember them all over my ankles.
Yeah. So we were talking with Sam and Jake that they should probably expand their care kit in their automobiles. I thought for a while you were carrying road spray and everything else.
Oh, I still have it.
See?
As bad as it probably is for us, we would just spray that roach spray right all over our feet, our ankles, our skin. But
you know, I think a couple of sprays on the body are so much better than the amount of infestations that it could occur in our own home.
I brought one roach
That's
home.
the thing. They say one roach with eggs can instantly infect your house. So that was always my practice, like I said, especially when we knew we were going into bug-filled houses. I carry a roll of duct tape and spray and all that. Duct tape my pant legs to my boots and just soak the crap out of them. I'm sure it's not healthy for my skin, but it's a whole lot easier than the alternative.
I have one now that I think about it, Sam. Sam, I'm gonna let Sam tell the story. I'll sum it up for you, but Sam knows my greatest fear in the world. And Sam and I were inspecting a house and I was frozen. Sam, what happened?
It was a baby snake, a dead
It
baby
was
snake.
monstrous.
Okay, it was really like probably this long, like and as thick as my finger. I'm walking and I stepped on it and I was like, ooh, that's weird. So I keep looking and, checking out the basement and Jake is frozen on the stairs. And I look back and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's the problem? And he's just frozen. He's like, yep. All right, Sam, I think we've seen enough here.
Time to go. It's time to go.
Well, Jen will tell you that I'm glad to know that because, right, Jen, I find snakes all the time and pick them up.
Oh my
I
God.
scared the crap out of her once. I didn't realize she was so definitely afraid of snakes.
Well, let's just make it abundantly clear. I am super afraid of snakes.
And see, I love snakes. I pick them up and play with them. I don't, Jen.
Yeah,
I've never seen Jake move so quickly in my life.
I'm like a ninja. What are you talking about?
Well, Sam, I mean, speaking of gross houses, I mean, you didn't bring up the one over by the school off down the street from that River Vista or River View, or the one with all the human feces all over the.
Yeah, and the cats.
Cats upstairs. Cats upstairs. And I mean, to the point, what would it just, they weren't litter pans anymore. They were just like disposable, 9x10 aluminum.
Like a baking pan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And each room and each level of the house had a different odor. And so much so that the sewer line had to have been broken. And they just put sawdust on the floor in the basement. And Bob and I are like sliding around as we were walking. I had no idea what was going on. And we get outside and Bob says, you know what that was, right? And I'm like, dude, everything we just saw in there, I have no clue. He's like, yeah, that was sewage, Sam. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
I think you had open-toe shoes on, which is what I kept telling you. Probably need to change when you look at these houses. Your foot appear up.
You wouldn't surprise me.
You can't show up in flip-flops, guys. Sorry.
I mean, you can, but
You better expect to get dirty. So we'll go back to a couple of stories. Speaking of sewer, 24th Street, once again, ring the bell. What happened there?
sewer life, well, there's two different incidents. When we first got it opened up, it was about 3 months into it. Now it's fully rented, so and half of the sewage went out the front, and that'll be the second half of the story down the road. The back half went out and into a pump station, and then it pumped back up. And we kept getting calls that there were sewer problems, and we're like, they can't be. It's brand new, all the pipes are new, so on and so forth. Well, we started investigating, and realized my plumber at the time left a test plug in the sewer line. Well, a test plug looks like you put it in a 3-inch line and you fill it full of air. It looks like a big pacifier. So what that means is for the 3 months that all the units up there, none of the solids were going past. You know, the air might have leaked down a little bit, the tube, but so some of the liquids were, but none of the solids were getting in there. So now someone has got to jump in there and pull the test plug out.
Wait, this test plug is stuck in there and it's holding all the sewage, right?
Yep.
So what happens when you pull it out?
Now, what do you think's going to happen? It's kind of like whatever the little kid blows with his finger in the dam, pull it out, what happens? A lot more pressure, though. So, my guy at the time offered to do it, and my phrase to these guys is, I won't ever ask you to do anything that I don't do. So, yeah, the old man got all bundled up in one of his Tyvek suits and goggles, and actually tried to put some over my face in case it got to the point that it all sprayed back in there. And so we got it out, and everything was all fine and dandy after that. But as you guys will find out with rental problems, like the second half of the story is, Mitch and I got a call one night that someone's carpet was wet. Well, when I say at night, I think it was, 12 o'clock at night, yes, something like that. And he was right. The main sewer line going out got some tree roots in it right where we spliced in from the cast to the 4-inch PVC. Wound up having Smith Sewer was out there at 2:30 in the morning with us or whatever, because now, same thing, it blocked, it backfilled all the other ones. So now all the apartments were going to have problems. It was just unfortunately this guy that was backing up through floor drain in his utility room. So we were out there at night, sucking up all the carpet and hiring the carpet cleaners the next day. But, yeah, you always got, sewage is one of your biggest, and like I said, you get used to it. I used to put clean outs in when I was younger to feed Junior when he was younger.
I think the lesson here is always have a good sewer guy that's reliable at 12:30 at night.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I was expecting to get totally railed on it, and they just have a flat fee for it. Anyone that ever needs an emergency sewer job, kudos to Smith Sewer. They've got an answering service or a guy on call. If you ever need one, he's your guy to go to, or they're your company.
I know I've called them a couple of times, certainly in the time I've worked for you, they've always been there. So it's pretty good. I think one of the last stories of the night, this one was always interesting to me, the Markham Shakedown. I heard that there was an inspector that had the world's worst plumbing possibly ever.
Yeah, we were doing, I was living in one, built a new one, and rehab and went down just in this little, and Markham at the time was, let's just say at that time, Markham, no matter how many lawsuits they got, they had never won one as a So I was building a house across the street from the older woman that lived out there at the time, because I lived next to her. We were building it on 3 lots, and Markham was always known for its corruption. They've had many of them investigations, but regardless, so the building inspector at the time came out and just walked in the door. I'm on the phone. He just walked in the door and was talking about how him and his wife needed a steak dinner and all this other stuff, and kept going on into details of what he expected from me in order for him to pass the inspection and all that. And I literally handed him the phone. He goes, "What's that?" I was on the phone with my attorney at the time. So I'm like, here, you may as well keep explaining to him on what you expect from me. So that was always the funny story on that one.
Did you get a steak dinner?
No. He was actually did his job after that.
Good. If anybody has any questions, send them in and we will get them answered for you. If not, this is not something Bob and I talked about, but since Mitch is not here, Bob and I want to let everyone know that we are hiring construction guys, actually. Anybody you know who is willing to learn or has any skill set, we would love to sit down and talk with them. We do interviews every Wednesday morning. So if you know anybody who's interested in coming into the construction field and learning from Bob and some other guys we have with experience, we'd love to talk to you.
Yep, and I think we're competitive wages.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Yeah. So it's based on your skill set, but you know, entry level positions or whatever you're looking for, up to guys who are running or have a whole crew. Actually, we've worked with a couple of people who have whole crews, and that's working out pretty good. So
Yep.
we'd be interested in looking at that again.
All right.
We good, Jess? Any questions? Sam, anything else? She ditch out on me? Thanks, Sam. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Mitch will be here the next go around.
And please tell everyone that call Mitch that me and Jake messed up and just packed it up all day.
Yeah, we can't be back. We got fish to catch.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.